Airchecks.com.
Filling out your 1986 income tax forms can be difficult or simple. The simple way is to call Dr. Patrick Fusi, 931-900. Call now.
I most certainly will now.
Wait a minute, Doctor. A lady just called. She said, oh, see, I'm not, don't tell my age, but I remember everything that you're talking about back then.
Well, let me continue about the pot. We threw the 4 hot dogs in the pot. That was 4 of us. That was 1 each. Went down to Jaeger Baking Company and to get the loaf of day-old bread, and they had a sale down there. You got 2, because they were going to be closed Christmas. And they had more bread than they could use, and the farmers usually come and get the bread to feed the pigs. But there's snowstorm, so the farmers couldn't get in. They didn't want the bread to spoil. So they had 2 loaves, the giant loaves you pay for $1 and something now. They had 2 loaves for 15 cents. Boy, and that was a bargain. Got back with those 2 loaves of bread, those 4 hot dogs, and that small jar of mayonnaise. And them big red onions. And wait just a minute, Fraser. And Manny Marley said, look at here. He said, O.C. come back with 2 loaves. I walked, didn't have no car. And said, came back with 2 loaves. Lord knows we're going to have a feast. Said, when the meat run out, we can put the mayonnaise on the bread, and it tastes just as good, fellas. In the meantime, the fire's getting a little low, and Larry a little lazy. Had to go out and get some more wood put in the fire. And then we all sat around with our overcoats on to enjoy our Christmas Eve together. That was in the year 1960. It ended in 1960. And then I became affiliated with WMIL on that everyday basis. Manny kicked us out, as I said before, and we had to go for ourselves. And Larry Hayes went to WFOX, which is now WNOV. Mm-hmm. And Larry was on, and I was on, and we was cooking by then. Then Brooke Benton Watson came out with a record called Baby You Got What It Takes. Yeah, and it's a rockin' good way. Kitty O and all that stuff came out.
Some good stuff.
Yeah, the Spaniels. And then the Motown thing came in, okay? 1961, WAWA was born in September of 1961. And it was originally not to be a black station. It was to be licensed to the city of West Dallas. However, after 3 successive months of no revenue, the owners of Mr. Neil K. Searles, who's retired now, and the late Herbert L. Mount, a prominent attorney, who lived up in Hubertus, Wisconsin, put WAWA together with Mr. Jack Krause, our chief engineer, who is now semi-retired, and put it together, and they tried it for 3 months to make it work for the city of West Dallas, and at that time they did not recognize or want to advertise, and as a result, Mr. Neil Searles, who at one time I served as his paper boy, and he knew I was at WMIL, he came to me and said, O.C., and you talking about being on the line, I was on the line. He said, do you think if we turn this thing around and make it a black station, that you could make it survive in the economic world? I said, yes, I think I can. If you give me the opportunity, I'll show you what I know to do, and you can help me along the way and teach me, please, and stand by me. And I continued to call on Manny. Mm-hmm. And 1961, October the 1st, is when I started at WAWA. And at those days and times, still they had white announcers here for the most part. I was on at the customary time. The black community had got used to being up at 5 o'clock in the morning to hear the radio. So I was on from like 5:30 till 7 because I was working for a Milwaukee General Construction Company as a bulldozer operator and a form setter and a cement finisher. So I worked from 5:30 in the morning on WAWA till 7 in the morning. And then at 7, I had to be on the bulldozer at 8. So I went to the bulldozer at 8, and then we had a little success out of the black community. They seemed to have liked what they heard. And as a result, then Manny moved away for a while, okay?
What, out of town?
Yeah, he moved out of town for a while.
Okay.
He went home to Chicago. And so that left nobody really here but me. And I was wrestling with this thing. And from 5:30 to 7 in the morning on WAWA. This is 1961 and late 1961 and early 62. Then we got a little success. The black community, I guess, liked what they heard. So we then went on from 5 till 8 in the afternoon. So now this is operating this bulldozer. This front end loader, they call them now, or whatever you call it, 977, you know. Mm-hmm. And operating that for 8 hours a day, sitting up under all that smoke, and then getting up at 3:30 in the morning. And Boobie over at Boobie's place, he used to bring me to work. See, I didn't have no car.
Well, where was WA situated? Where was the station?
It was across, the station itself was about 50 yards from where we are now, over there in that Inn Motel unit.
Man, you had to come a long ways to work.
Yeah, Boobie made sure I got there. He had just got out of service, and he had a little old Thunderbird. And he had a little gray one, and he used to carry me to work, see. I didn't have no car. So financial things got better, so I bought a 36 Plymouth.
Okay.
I paid $50 for a 36 Plymouth. Up there where that vacant field is now was Northwestern Ford, and I paid $50 for it. I drove it 2 years and sold it for $75. And the only thing wrong with the thing, it didn't have any reverse. And Ernie Payne up there at 4870 West Fond du Lac Avenue, he was a young mechanic at the time on 17th and North Avenue, where that delicatessen, Jake's Delicatessen, across the street is now a vacant lot, but that was Ernie's first garage. And Ernie made a trade deal. He said, you sound pretty good. If you play me a record, I'll fix your car where you can back up, where you don't have to park by them fire plugs everywhere you go. So Ernie fixed my 36 Plymouth, and then I was on the road. And then they asked me if I would work in the afternoon from 5 to 8. Well, I was already on 5:30 in the morning until 7. That's an hour and a half. And then 5 to 8, that's 4.5 hours of radio plus 8 hours on the bulldozer. Got too much for me. So I was searching around, then another guy came to town, and as he came to town, I asked him, I said, hey, man, look here, you sound pretty good, and you got a unique act, so come on in here, let's ride back, and this guy was named...
Thank you very much. I didn't come to play Milwaukee. I've come to burn this town to the ground because I could do Dr. Bob's the best that ever did it and got away with it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a guy, and we had so much fun together. Jim, his name was Dr. Bob.
How well I remember
in real
Dr.
life,
Bob. Yeah.
Hoyt Locke.
That was a legend. You know, see, that brought back a lot of memories listening to that. You know, that's when radio was radio.
Oh, we had fun. It was personality radio. You know,
and in order for radio to survive,
that's why I try to do the blues show on Saturday morning. You hear me?
Yeah. It's got to come back to that. Yeah, it's got to come back to that.
And Dr. Bob, and Bob had his thing too. I'm telling you, you talking about fun. Bob liked peach cobbler, blackberry cobblers, and he was really a very private person. He wasn't doing radio or making an appearance someplace. You could hardly get him to talk at all unless you knew him extremely well. He wasn't a blabbermouth in person that he was on radio. So Bob and baby girl, we just leave it. But he was a lot of fun. He liked to eat. They'd go home with these peach cobblers, Dr. Bob would, and pull the shades and lock the door. And he wouldn't answer the one phone that everybody had the number. And I and baby girl and just a couple other people had the private number. And I'd call him up, and he said, man, why you call me bugging me? I'm up in here trying to eat this peach cobbler, and it's just floating in butter. So you asked Miss Hickson, he was that kind of guy, but a most magnificent human being, and he went to every part of the city, or we went to every part of the city. Bob, the reason I ended up doing the morning show for all those years, because Bob, you know, all of us have our hang-ups. Bob could not get up in the morning.
Got to make time.
No, he tried to make this thing happen in the morning, and I was going to go to the afternoon because I was on the construction. But Bob fooled around there, and he couldn't get up in the morning, so that made me, I didn't quit the construction job. I took a 30-year leave of absence. I got 2 years left.
A 30-year leave of absence?
Yeah, I was there 10 years, so I took a 30-year leave of absence.
Another first in black history.
As a result of that, I went to the morning show, And Bob went to the afternoon from 2 to 6, and boy, how he did kick.